Hello, Julieta here. It's day 8 and we're reading chapter 8. But before we start the story, I wanted to show you this. So Iceland is a volcanic country, and when a volcano erupts, lava comes out of it, and over time, lava cools and hardens into lava rock. And this piece of lava rock is from a trip where I went to Iceland and I got this rock. Kind of cool, isn't it? Okay, so in chapter 7, Elika and Aunt Caroline go to Hoffen, which is a town very near this big glacier where they want to see if they can find the source of the moaning voice and the owner of the glowing crystal. So let's find out what happens in chapter 8. Chapter 8. The hotel turned out to be really nice. After a dinner of delicious pasta, Elika and Aunt Caroline retired to their rooms. Whoever Edmund was must be a nice guy. He had managed to book them 2 rooms under a discounted rate. Puffy ski jackets and crampons in their sizes were waiting on their beds. Elika was especially happy about the warm ski jacket. Aunt Caroline was also given a camping stove and instant meals, which she stuffed into her backpack. Elika took a long hot shower. She sprawled out on the white comforter and was quickly asleep. The dream started again. Ice walls reflected light. This time, though, the ice cave wasn't turquoise. It was pink, orange, and red. Elika wondered why. The moan began, loud and clear. Alone, the voice moaned. Ain. Elika woke up. The wind howled outside, and a high, very faint, high sound just like the voice in the dream seemed to say, Ain, Ain. Could she hear the voice outside her dream now? Elika sprang out of bed and ran to Aunt Caroline's door. She had to knock several times before Aunt Caroline finally answered. Her dark curly hair was a mess, and her eyes squinted at Elika. What is it? Aunt Caroline asked, rubbing her tired eyes. Are you okay? The voice, Elika said. I think I can hear it outside my dream. Like, for real. Elika poked her head in Aunt Caroline's room. She couldn't hear much except for a mechanical hum like a generator. It's stronger in my room. Come listen, Elika said. She took Aunt Caroline's hand and led her across the hallway. They stood silently in Elika's room, listening to the wind. A voice seemed to climb over the wind, moaning. Hear it? Elika whispered. I can hear something, Aunt Caroline said. It could just be the wind. But yes, I could also imagine it was saying, Ain. Does it sound like the voice in your dream? Elika nodded. It's the same, except a lot fainter, she said. Aunt Caroline's eyes grew wider. Listen, I'll make a cup of coffee and then we can drive into the mountain and follow the voice, Aunt Caroline said. In the dark? Elika asked. The clock by her bedside read 3 a.m. Aunt Caroline grinned at her. It's not dark, her aunt said. She opened Elika's blackout curtains. Elika gasped. The sky was streaked with pink, orange, and red. She had never seen a sky like that. Sunrise, Caroline said. She fiddled with the coffee maker in Elika's room. Maybe that's why the cave in my dream was pink and orange, Elika said. Would the sunrise color the ice? Your dream may be in real time, Caroline said, nodding yes. She made a steaming hot cup of coffee for herself and handed Elika a hot chocolate. Drink up, Caroline said. It's cold on the glacier. Elika shuddered in anticipation. She curled her hands around the hot mug, hoping this wasn't the last warm drink she would have for a while. Once they finished their drinks and packed what they needed for the glacier, Elika followed Aunt Caroline to the car. In the chilly air, Elika pulled the collar of her ski jacket as high as it would go. The wind picked up. It blew Elika's hair around her face. She pulled it into a ponytail and wished she had a hat as the cold air chilled her neck. They drove with the windows down so they could follow the voice. It made it super cold in the car. Even though she wore the ski jacket over her sweater, Elika had to wrap a blanket around herself. Aunt Caroline didn't seem to be bothered by the cold. In fact, she looked happy. "I think I hear it more clearly now," Aunt Caroline said with excitement in her voice. They had been driving for an hour up a dirt road that skirted the glacier. Elika had expected ice and snow, but they were still low enough that bare rock covered the landscape. Aunt Caroline explained that no roads actually went into the glacier from here. So at some point soon, they would have to get out and walk. Elika suddenly felt something hot by her foot. Aunt Caroline?" Elika said. Aunt Caroline said, craning her neck out the window as she drove. "The crystal in my backpack is weirdly hot," Elika said. "It was too hot to touch, even through the sock it was in." She managed to hold one end of the sock and pull it out of her pack. "Ouch," Elika said when the hot crystal sock touched her palm. She put the sock on the dashboard. "It's hot?" Caroline said with a gleam of excitement in her eyes. "It could be another sign we're getting close to the creature." The road bent back towards the coast, so they had to stop. Ice and snow coated the rocks around them. They could drive no further into the glacier. The voice still moaned. Somewhere in the vast expanse of ice was a lonely creature. They stepped onto the icy dirt, and Elika braced herself for freezing wind. But the wind had calmed down. Snow was piled up on rocks and in mounds everywhere. The sky was cloudy and the sun was hidden. As they listened, Elika felt it was almost too quiet. Even the moans stopped. "I don't hear anything," Elika said. "Keep listening," Aunt Caroline said. "I bet it starts up again." Elika shivered. She had the feeling that she was being watched. She shrugged it off. It was probably just the cold air creeping down her neck. "Fire!" Aunt Caroline suddenly shouted. With a shock, Elika saw that smoke filled the car. Aunt Caroline opened the door and threw water from her bottle on the flames. She took a stick, pulled something small and flaming out of the car and threw it in the snow. Steam rose from it. "The crystal?" Elika said, surprised. "It melted a hole in the dashboard," Aunt Caroline said. "How amazing!" Elika didn't think it was amazing. It was downright weird and a little scary. The crystal sat in a puddle by the car. It melted the ice around it. Elika hovered her hand over the crystal. It gave off heat like a burning piece of coal. "How will we carry it now?" Elika asked. "We may not have to," Aunt Caroline said. Her gaze was fixed on something in the distance. Elika looked out but didn't see anything. But after a few breaths, she saw it. A great big shape that walked across a flat expanse of sheer ice. It moved like a walking boulder. Elika gasped. She ran into the car and shut the door. She hoped it would go away, but the enormous figure was coming closer. Okay, well, I look forward to exploring that enormous figure with you in Chapter 9 in the next video. Bye!